Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing some multiple choice questions on Transfer of Property Act 1882, which is a part for your business laws. So, without wasting much time, let's start with our video. Question number 1. Possession of a manager cannot be treated as ostensible ownership with the consent of the real owner. This was held in the case of option A, Seshumulla M. Shah versus Syed Abdul Rashid, option B, Ved Kumar versus Union of India, option C, Motimul Sowcar versus Visalakashi Ammal, or option D, B. Sitaram Rao versus Bibhushan. The correct answer for this question is option A, Seshumulla M. Shah versus Syed Abdul Rashid. Question number 2. Under Section 42 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882, if a person has a right to transfer property after exercising a right to revoke a previous transfer, a transfer of such property by him will imply an exercise of option A, right of surrender, option B, right of transfer, option C, right of revocation, or option D, none of the above. The correct answer for this question is option C, right of revocation. Question number 3. Section 43 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882 enables a transferee to whom a transferor has made a fraudulent or erroneous representation to lay hold at his option of any interest, option A, which the transferor may subsequently acquire with property provided he does not adversely affect the right of any subsequent purchaser for value without notice, option B, which the transferee may rescind in the proceedings, option C, which both transferor and transferee rescind, or option D, none of the above. The correct answer for this question is option A, which the transferor may subsequently acquire with property provided he does not adversely affect the right of any subsequent purchaser for value without notice. Question number 4. In order to get the benefit of the Section 43 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882, some conditions are necessary. Number 1. Contract of transfer was made by a person who was competent to contract. Number 2. Contract would be subsisting at the time when a claim for recovery of the property is made. Option A. Only condition 1 is necessary. Option B. Only condition 2 is necessary. Option C. Both condition number 1 and condition number 2 is necessary, or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option C. Both condition 1, contract of transfer was made by a person who was competent to contract, and condition 2, contract would be subsisting at the time when a claim for recovery of the property is made is necessary. Question number 5. Section 44 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882 deals with option A, transfer by two co-owner, option B, transfer by one co-owner, option C, transfer by three co-owners, or option D, transfer by all the co-owners. The correct answer for this question is option B, transfer by one co-owner. Question number 6. When one of the several co-owners transfers his share, the transferee acquires as against the other co-owners the same rights that of transferor had, but is subject to any condition and liabilities affecting the share at the date of transfer. This is the provision under which section? Option A, Section 40 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Option B, Section 41 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Option C, Section 42 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882, or option D, Section 44 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. The correct answer for this question is option D, Section 44 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Question number 7. The provisions for the joint transfer for consideration is dealt in which section? Option A. Section 45 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Option B. Section 46 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Option C. Section 47 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option A. Section 45 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Question number 8. Presumption of equity pertains to which section? Option A. Section 47 of the Transfer of Property Act. Option B. Section 45 of the Transfer of Property Act. Option C. Section 46 of the Transfer of Property Act. Or option D. Section 48 of the Transfer of Property Act. The correct answer for this question is option B. Section 45 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Question number 9. Under the provisions of the Transfer of Property Act 1882, where immovable property is transferred for consideration by persons having distinct interests therein, the transferors are option A. Entitled to share in the considerations equally. Option B. Entitled to share unequally. Option C. Entitled to share equally but subject to further conditions. Or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option A. Entitled to share in the considerations equally. Question number 10. Where several co-owners of immovable property transfer a share therein without specifying that the transfer is to take effect on any particular share or shares of the transferors, the transfer, as among such transferors, take effect on such share. Option A. Unequally, where the shares were equal and where they are unequal proportionately to the extent of such shares. Option B. Equally, where the shares were equal and where they are unequal proportionately to the extent of such shares. Option C. Both option A and option B. Or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option B. Equally, where the shares were equal and where they are unequal proportionately to the extent of such shares. Question number 11. Which of the following statements will hold true regarding exchange under the Transfer of Property Act 1882? Option A. All the liabilities and responsibilities under normal sale apply to exchange. Option B. All the liabilities and responsibilities under normal sale apply to exchange subject to provisions of Section 119 and 121 of the Act. Option C. No liability and responsibility under normal sale will apply to exchange unless specifically stated. Or option D. Liabilities and responsibilities under normal sale will not apply to exchange under any circumstances. The correct answer for this question is option B. All the liabilities and responsibilities under normal sale apply to exchange subject to provisions of Section 119 and 121 of the Act. Question number 12. Actual possession of property by another must put of such property on his guard than its amount to notice for. Option A. Purchaser. Option B. Municipality. Option C. Seller. Or option D. Registration Office. The correct answer for this question is option A. Purchaser. Question number 13. Which doctrine has been involved in the provision regarding condition precedent? Option A. Doctrine of Acceleration. Option B. Doctrine of Cy-pres. Option C. Rule against perpetuity. Or option D. Rule of Perpetuity. The correct answer for this question is option B. Doctrine of Cy-pres. Question number 14. What is intention to deposit of title deeds in equitable mortgage? Option A. Take an interest. Option B. Take a possession. Option C. Create a security. Or option D. Take a consideration. The correct answer for this question is option C. Create a security. Question number 15. From below, which rights are calculated as rights of immovable property? Option A. Right of royalty. Option B. Right of way in immovable property. Option C. Right of worship. Or option D. Government promissory notes. The correct answer for this question is option B. Right of way in immovable property. Question number 16. When transfer is made from insolvency, forfeiture, or sale in execution of a decree, it is known as option A. Transfer by will. Option B. Transfer by operation of law. Option C. Transfer by act of parties. Or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option B. Transfer by operation of law. Question number 17. Document is not necessary if value of immovable property is option A. Less than rupees 1000. Option B. Less than rupees 10,000. Option C. Less than rupees 1 lakh. Or option D. Less than rupees 100. The correct answer for this question is option D. Less than rupees 100. Question number 18. Doctrine of Part Performance is applicable to option A. Only oral contract. Option B. Only written contract. Option C. Oral written contract. Or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option B. Only written contract. Question number 19. From below, which is immovable property? Option A. Growing crops. Option B. Grass. Option C. Standing timber. Or option D. Trees and plants. The correct answer for this question is option D. Trees and plants. Question number 20. When two persons transfers the property with mutual consent, it is known as option A. Transfer by act of parties. Option B. Transfer by will. Option C. Transfer by operation of law. Or option D. None of the above. The correct answer for this question is option A. Transfer by act of parties. That's all for today. I hope you all learned something new. We have completed our topic of Transfer of Property Act 1882. Keep learning. All the best.